All right, somebody said, I just completed an online course risk management framework and FISMA, and I watched a lot of your videos, and I will like to know your best advice on getting my first job. What kind of job will you recommend I apply to? Okay, so for this, I would ask you, Brown, what's your background? First of all, is what I would ask you. Because what your background is going to determine what I would recommend to you. I get this question often, Brown, so it really depends on what your background is. SCA at Brown. Okay, Michael Fernandez, you're saying SCA. Are you Brown? Or what? I'm wanting to know what Brown's background is, and I can answer this question to the best of my ability. Because what I could tell you is like what I've told some other people. I can give you a couple examples. I had a teacher who was like a superintendent, and I've had a couple teachers ask me this, and I don't blame them because teachers are not paid like they should be. I'll put it to you that way. But a couple of teachers, more than one, have come and reached out to me and said, hey, look, I'm trying to do what you're doing. How do I get into it? They don't have technical background. I said, look, you might not even want to do IT stuff. You might want to do, and I gave them some examples of stuff that are in parallel with IT, such as program management. Program managers make as much or more than your average IT person, but they're not having to do all this technical stuff. They don't have to take a security. They don't have to take an IT certification. They have their own whole path that has its own certifications. And if you've done administrator work before, it's going to make sense to you if you're a program manager. So that's one thing. But Brown says, I do not have a background in risk management. I'm a cable technician, and I'm looking to branch into IT. Okay, so first of all, you're in a certain adjacent to IT. So what I would do personally, if I was where you're at, you're actually in a good position here. And then let me explain to you why. So as a cable person, when you get into networking has some stuff about cable, LAN cables. Oh my Lord, I'm having a huge brain. I can't remember what it's called, but you have your 4-pair or your 8-pair wires, and you have to configure the wires in a certain way to send data or to send voice. The names are escaping me. I just haven't done it in a really long time. What I'm trying to tell you is what I would do if I was you, if I laid cable, if I was a cable technician, what I would do is start to get into networking, because networking is going to make a lot of sense to you as a cable guy. Now, keep in mind, I'm doing this straight off the dome here. If I was doing cable, if I was running cable technician, and maybe cable for like people's homes, like actual, what is it called? What's the cable called that you run? Do you mess around with Cat 5 at all? What kind of cable is it? Regardless of what kind of cable it is, I'll put it to you like this. If you get into networking, now I'm on Indeed.com. I use this a lot. A better site would be Dice.com or LinkedIn.com, Monster.com. All those are very good places to go. But what I would do if I were you is I would look into entry-level networking. It's gonna make sense to you. Some of what stuff that you do in cable, LAN cable technician is going to align with networking. I guarantee it, because you're gonna understand some of the stuff that they talk about with signals. You're gonna understand some of the stuff they talk about as far as different types of cables having different kinds of signals. If you ever worked with fiber, if you've ever worked with a 10-base-T coax cable, or if you've ever worked with Ethernet, Cat 5 or Cat 6. So those are all things that you probably have touched before or have heard of. So it's in line with what you're already doing. So number one, if you go to Indeed.com and you look for entry-level networking jobs, entry-level networking, you can follow along with me if you want. I'm on Indeed.com, and I'm just typed in entry-level networking. You have a help desk technician. Don't laugh at these positions. You want somewhere to start, right? It's very important you get your foot in the door with the technical entry-level position. Think about your bank. Like, you want your banker to be fresh off the street and not know anything about banking? No, you want them to have some level of experience. And so I'm kind of going through these. Entry-level networking itself is not a good keyword. So you said CCNA. So you said, I totally understand your answer. I've looked into networking courses and I'm very familiar with the CCNA exam. There you go. This direction you go. CCNA. So let's type that in. Entry levels. In fact, you can actually start with a CCENT. CCENT, entry level certification for Cisco. I think you have to start with a CCENT these days. I don't know. I'm so out of touch with networking these days. But look, IT support engineer 1. It doesn't start off with a lot of money, but you're not looking at the dollars per hour just yet. Right now, you're focused on the skill set. The skills and the experience that you get equal money, okay? That's the key. IT field technician is another one that you will fully understand and completely get, because a lot of this is actually implementing people's local networks. IT help desk, IT, you want to start off from the beginning, and you go on to say, I want to work remotely because a recently family dynamic, and so I took a course in risk management framework and FSMA. So that's good. I'm not saying don't study risk management framework, very important, and I'll tell you why. Okay, you're going to want to make your money initially and get your foot in the door with networking. Here's what I would do. Here's my strategy from where you're talking about. You're going to want to get your foot in the door with networking. Why? First of all, you're going to understand it almost immediately, because it's going to be talking about signals. It's going to be talking about different media that you use to transfer data. It's going to click to you. Number one, not a lot of people understand networking, and it's a super important piece of being an IT person that a lot of people don't get. You're going to understand it. Okay, now it does go into TCP IP and all that kind of stuff, but that's your bread and butter. You got to learn it. IPv4, IPv6, you have to learn it. All right, it has a little math in it. It's not impossible. It's not freaking rocket science. If I put to you like this, if I can do it, you can do it. All right. From cable technician, I would go into networking as an entry-level person. All right. You're not going to just jump into risk management framework and FSMA. All right. It's just any kind of security stuff. It takes 3 to 4 years of IT to get into cybersecurity. All right. Cybersecurity is not an entry level, but I can tell you how you can start to get on the on-ramp for risk management framework, FSMA, and cybersecurity, where there's money, by the way. Networking has money too. So start with networking. Get your CCNT, get your CCNA. CCNA is money. It's cash money. See, let me show you something else here. Let me take you back to the screen here. Here's why I would take the strategy of starting off with networking. Let me show you something. I'm just going to type in CCNA here. CCNA is a damn good certification. I know because I had it before. And my first IT job outside of the military is because I had a CCNA. CCNA is no joke. If you get a CCNA, especially now, it's much harder to get now. When I did it, it was like one test. Now they've broken it up into 2 or 3 tests. It's much harder now. But look at these jobs. Like, look at this. Look at this. I don't know if you can see this, but that says Network Operations Technician. Now, all I did was type in CCNA, and this is a $60,000 job. Okay, now there's some for $22 an hour, but these are entry-level positions. You want to get into those entry-level positions, do them for about 6 months to a year, put it on your resume, and then the next step is going to be something like a network administrator, a junior network administrator. Okay. And with networking, you really got to know your stuff, by the way. You can't fake it with networking. They'll test you right on the spot. It's kind of like software engineering. Like if you don't know, if you cannot fake network engineering or software engineering. They're going to see immediately if you know what you're talking about or not. That's why it's imperative that you start off, get your CCNA. The CCNA, CCENT is so that you can study and know the common body of knowledge that you need to know in order to navigate these fields that you're about to get into. All right. And start to create your own virtual environments, because you can literally start to study it and have your own network virtually on your PC and start to know how to network routers and switches and stuff like that, IP routing, all that kind of stuff. You can literally start to do it on your own system with something called GNS3 is one of the ones that you can use. And they've got tons of other applications that you put on your computer, and it has like a little network diagram, and you configure this. You can log into this little virtual router and then configure the interfaces on the router and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, like I'm excited for you, man. If you're actually doing this, I'm really excited for you to start your career, because I think you're going to click on it and it's going to work. And you say, in Risk Management Framework, I'm familiar with documenting FIPS 199, FIPS 200, system security plans. I believe I am competent for the task. I want to move out of the networking field. So you're saying that you are already in the networking field. Is that what you're saying? Because you said that you are a cable technician. I'm assuming that you are somebody who installs cable for people. Okay, let me give you a couple of things here. Let's say you are a network engineer and you've been in the field for, let's say, a year. Like you've been a network engineer, you worked for an organization who has routers and switches. You understand routers and switches. You can set up a network, and you have about a year of experience. You didn't say you had any certification, so I'm assuming you don't. First step, if you are a network engineer and you have a year of experience, is go ahead and go for a Security Plus. Security Plus is a very good certification. It will get your foot in the door many different jobs. There's going to be some people who watch this video, especially IT guys, going to be like, why is this guy always talking about certifications? I'm trying to make people money. Listen, the industry, you may not like it, but the industry does look at certifications very highly on certain certifications. Security Plus is one of those certifications. So get the certification. Do you like money? If you like money, get the certification. You don't have to like the process. You know, it doesn't make sense to hate the game. Like, I mean, you can hate the game, but play it. You got to still play it. You know what I mean? So get the certification. Okay, so Brown says, like you rightfully said, my job is borderline networking. Exactly. That's why you start off, Brown, with networking, because you already understand it. Get your CCNA, get your CCENT. I'm talking about if all you do is, if you're a cable technician, your next level is either help desk or network engineer. And I'm saying network engineer because if you understand networking, you are already 3 steps ahead of most people who are entry level in IT. I mean, if you're an IT guy, tell me I'm wrong. Most people don't understand networking, and they get through this whole field without understanding it, without doing any of it. You already have a little taste of it. All you got to do now is take that next step, which is get that CCENT, CCNA, whichever one. You got to get the CCENT first. Then get your foot in the door with a networking job, like a junior level networking job. After you get about 6 months to a year in, you could probably go straight for a Security Plus and apply for a risk management framework job. You can apply for it. I can't guarantee that you would get it. They're looking for a little bit more experience, like 2-3 years of experience doing IT stuff. But you could, with your cable background, you could probably have a little bit more leverage in there